Hello, everybody, and I want to encourage everybody to be raising hands and asking questions and offering information. This one is meant to be a discussion, not us standing up here being talking heads. So the purpose of today, to be honest with you, the topic came out of me being really kind of angry over some things that had gone on when I was buying, and I may be a little oversensitive because I've been in this space forever and was in retail before it. So customer experience is just a really big deal to me personally. But I also, you know, I mean, quite a few of you have seen me all over Facebook. So you know, I'm listening and watching what you guys talk about as well, and some of the things that you go through, and you know, and sometimes some of the sellers' responses to customers who are upset is a little bit what I would consider less than optimal. So the idea here was that we could all talk about some of our experiences, and then also, you know, as a group, kind of make some suggestions on how you could work those. If this happened in your store, how would you turn it around to make it a positive ordeal for your customer, and to use that to continue your reputation for excellence, which ultimately drives sales. So I guess we'll get started with some introductions since I'm blabbering here. I'll start. My name's Lori Appelman. I've been in the e-commerce space more than 2 decades. I started out kind of planning sites, you know, where with a big old notebook where I would take cut and paste pieces of what I thought I wanted and how I wanted people to travel the site. And I actually, this was all instinctive. At that point, I didn't have any training. I've obviously gone through quite a bit over that period of time. But in the end, what we built was actually copied by E-Trade, but they were much better run and financed. So the fact that E-Trade is what it is today is in large part a knockoff of what I was trying to build at the time. And now I own an agency. We focus only on e-commerce companies. We do a lot, mostly site builds, really great site builds and technology planning, but we also do some on-site conversion optimization. I don't do A/B testing anymore. That's something we leave to somebody like AJ, who's a whiz at it. And we don't run ads. We don't do any advertising. Outsource that to another company, or I should say I refer. I don't outsource because I don't mark up. If I refer anybody to somebody, your payment agreements with them, not with me, just to be clear, because I don't think you're going to make money if I have to add a fee onto somebody else's. And the goal for my existence is to help all of our businesses continue to grow. AJ.
Thanks, Lori. I co-run the meetup with Lori. You know how you spend all this time figuring out what your website should look like Lori mentioned. What our team does is we help measure the impact of those changes so that you can drive more conversion. I run an agency called Experiment Zone here in Austin, and always happy to chat about strategies for improving conversion, AOV, et cetera. I'm super excited to be here. I'm really passionate about how we can think about customer experiences, from learning about the brand to the on-site experience to all the touch points that happen after the purchase. Mark, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So Mark Solomon, I've been in the e-commerce space since just about 2016. I started with designing, developing websites. It turned into a huge passion for automotive, like aftermarket performance parts and just modifying vehicles. So just kind of merged both interests together, got into the e-commerce world. Again, grown, you know, it's grown to 3 stores. We launched our 3rd store last year, March of 2020. We sell on, you know, eBay. We were selling on Amazon. We pulled the plug on Amazon. We've been doing well. I mean, if it weren't for Lori and all the other amazing folks in some of these Facebook groups, we wouldn't be, you know, where we're at today. It's just incredible the growth we've had since early on, you know, back in 2016.
Let's see, we need a volunteer to speak next. Kirby?
I'll go. Yeah, what the heck. So I'm Kirby. I'm here in Austin. I make Safety Chew, which is a It's a functional dog toy for ballistics for dogs. All e-commerce. We have about 10 SKUs. So, you know, small, been going for a year now. Expanding to a second product, hopefully, in the next 2 or 3 months. And yeah, as Mark said something about Amazon, we sell one of our SKUs on Amazon, and using that to drive refill purchases from our own site. And I hate Amazon. The customer's expectations, you know, talking about customers here, we get people that are buying it, they never open the package and they want to return it. It's like as soon as they get it in their hands, they decide that they didn't want it. And our return rates are just crazy. I don't know what people are thinking they're buying. Like something for a kid, and it ends up it's got a bully stick in it, and they're like, "What the hell's a bully stick?" I don't know, but we have people buying from our own site. We get like 0 returns. We faced a couple of issues, usually me messing up fulfillment. Yeah, Amazon's a train wreck. I don't even know if it's worth it. So we're gonna have to run the numbers at some point and decide.
Yeah. Is it Shirley?
Sarah, like rhymes with Claire. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
just here to
Pretty.
learn more. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm just here to learn more about e-commerce. I'm currently a 3rd-year student at UT Austin studying management information systems, design strategies, and supply chain management. So a lot going on, but hopefully launching a small business in May, June, fundraising for a social cause through t-shirts and stickers. So just trying to get to know more about the business logistics beforehand and learn from everyone here.
Cool. Welcome. Jawad?
Hi, this is Jawad. I have been working on e-commerce for about the last 3 years. Initially, I launched my online store, and then coming from a software background to manage this whole business, I came up with building the software. And then I finally closed my store, and my focus is more on the software to automate the e-commerce business process management. So I'm here just to learn more about what's going on and connect with people. So that's the main objective.
Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Sorry, I just saw that there was a lid off on the camera. So.
That's okay. You don't have to show your face.
That's fine. I think it makes people memorize and connect with you more when you are on the video.
Cool. Kent, you want to introduce yourself, Kent?
Yeah, first time joining. Thanks. Let's see. I've been trying to build a business for apparel. I do skateboarding, t-shirts, and products. So it's taken a while to understand what niche I want to get into. I've just been experimenting with stuff for the past several months, but I'm hoping to do a Shopify store here by the summer.
Where are you selling it now, or are you still trying to vet out your product?
Still building out the product. Yeah, I'm doing, things more handmade. I'm storing everything in the garage.
Oh, wow.
Sourcing everything. Yeah. So I don't expect to be high volume, but, I'm just trying to do everything very thoughtful. I don't want to do print on demand or anything like that I've been seeing, but I'm just very careful about how I go about it. But I know that my experience with customer service is it's terrible with skateboard companies. Like, they could care. They couldn't care less about, customer experience. So it's like, I want to do something different about that. Because that's, like somebody's word of mouth is worth way more than a Facebook ad, right? So that's what I hope to learn.
Absolutely. Plus, I haven't seen recent statistics, but when I was in the grocery business, they used to say that people are 10 times more likely to complain when they're unhappy than they are to give praise when you've done a stellar job. And even there, I mean, I don't know how often you've seen a 4-star review. They've given the business or the product 4 stars, but the review is stellar. And it's like, what do they have to do to earn the A? You know, so you bring up a really good point about where it can be very powerful in either direction, and if you're not getting that great feedback. So YJ, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Lori. Hey, guys.
Hey. So introduce yourself.
Okay, sorry. I was like 3 calls at once.
Oops.
So, hi, everyone. I also work for a retailer called Dell Technologies as a program manager, but I do a lot of stuff on the side. I have 8 3D printers, and I sell little board game pieces on Etsy and Amazon. And I do receive customer complaints. Sometimes it's really dumb, but also a reflection for myself to make sure I simplify everything when you're writing the copy for the products. It's like you have to be very particular what's included, what's not. So that's my learning experience. It's like, and when you're taking pictures too, it's like if you put something even as a decoration, they're gonna think it's included. So
yeah, the misunderstanding. So with that, we need some horror stories. Does anybody else want to start?
I could jump in. Just something, you know, Kirby talking about Amazon and just experience selling them there. We had a review. So we use Stamp.io, which has been wonderful for all of our sites to collect reviews. It's been great. We get a customer that reached out to us yesterday and said he bought a lug nut kit for a vehicle to hold on wheels. So he says, I'm really disappointed. I want to return this item. Send me a prepaid label. Like, that's it. Like, no, thank you, nothing. Doesn't give any explanation. What's wrong? I don't think we've ever received a return on one of these lug nut kits, and we sell hundreds and hundreds probably throughout the month. So, like, there's something weird here. So we ask and we reach out. We say, you know, hey, can you please, you know, explain what is going on? You know, is there an issue with the product? Blah, blah, blah. Just try to resolve this as quick as possible. He writes back and he says, he feels he was gypped because he could have got it much cheaper on Amazon, and is annoyed that he doesn't like our return policy. We have a restocking fee, and he doesn't want to pay return shipping. So immediately, from saying not a problem, we're more than welcome to, you know, take the item back. But again, our policy is there's a restocking fee, and you would be responsible for your return shipping. Immediately writes our review on Stamp.io, 1-star review. I could buy this half price on Amazon. Horrible customer service. It's just like, people are insane.
Yeah, well, Amazon has really spoiled people into expecting miracles. The other, and actually it dawned on me, I should probably alert y'all, there's some wild ass fraud going out. Somebody was going around and increasing. There are actually forums where people talk about how they're using returns to scam people. And the basic idea is they don't even ask for a return. They just issue a chargeback. As anybody who's been in e-commerce knows, 99% of the time, the bank sides with the customer and you're out the goods and the merchandise and the money. So be aware that if you're not generous with your returns, you could still end up with a chargeback. And watch for that guy. Make sure you've got good documentation, Mark, because anybody who's that quick on the trigger is absolutely likely to issue a chargeback. And then you've got the money, the gear, and the $35 fee the bank charges you. So it's a pretty expensive loss when you get a chargeback. Not to mention, if you get enough of them, the bank shuts you down. So be careful with that. So how would you, I mean, is there anything you think you could do different? I assume your policy, are you at least matching your policy on Amazon, but maybe charging a little more money because of their policy?
We don't sell on Amazon. The customer was, you know, the thing is, it was something that we don't sell on Amazon. It was you either want to buy from someone like us because of experience and knowledge and information about the product that we share before, you know, hand, or you buy on Amazon. I mean, there's really nothing. I guess the guy, you know, felt like slighted. He could have got the same item for cheaper on Amazon. I don't know, but it was just people are crazy. We've had a, knock on wood, a fairly good track record with fighting chargebacks and the dispute process and unsatisfactory chargebacks. There's really a format I follow. in place. Really, as Lori said, documentation is so important. You know, the more you have documented and policies and everything, a lot of the times we've been able to win these unsatisfactory chargebacks.
That's good. That's
Where do you
good.
sell?
Where do we sell?
Yeah.
So we have 3 e-commerce stores. I'm in the automotive space, probably our hottest store right now. We sell drag racing wheels and accessories. That's really right now our primary business. So 3 stores as well as eBay.
Cool. Anybody
Mark,
else
would you share your store links in the chat so the rest of us can take a look at it?
Yeah.
If anyone else has store links, it's great for us to share, because then when we're giving examples, we have a reference.
And just to jump in it one more time in terms of chargeback. So we also use No Fraud that handles fraudulent orders and stuff like that. But they will only cover fraud if the chargeback's opened up as specifically fraud. Product unsatisfactory or product not received is not necessarily considered fraud, even though it could really be. So we just still follow their process in regards to disputing a chargeback. And I've worked with them on kind of like perfecting this process and documentation that we provide. And you got to play just as if you're going to court. You know, you'd have to have it, you know, clean and simple details of exactly, you know, the case and you know, responses and everything. But yeah, we've been pretty good at it overall.
Mark, I was going to ask, what about price matching? What if you offered to say, okay, we'll price match Amazon?
Depending on what it is, we'll price match. I mean, we generally won't price match a marketplace. It's just insane. I mean, again, this customer was one-off. We sell hundreds of these a month and don't have any issues. So you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you mean by documentation? I guess we're too small. We hadn't even had to really deal with this yet.
So I kind of have a template that I go through. I mean, very basic, but a template that I go through when someone submits a chargeback that No Fraud can't represent us. If they represent us, because it's true fraud, they represent us and they provide all the information. If it's myself having to defend the chargeback or dispute the chargeback, it's a very simple template of just kind of, you know, an opening statement about it, just showing, you know, different examples and just a process that we've kind of gone through and, you know, putting in our return policy, all this stuff. It's been good overall. We just had a chargeback within the past month, closed that in our favor, thank God. $1,000 item. I put call logs. So for our phone records, I show all the call logs. The customer never reached out once. I show chats. The customer reached out beforehand to try to get his address changed on the order, which that's generally, you know, a red flag right there. So there's just all these different pieces of information that we've learned from experience over the past, you know, 6 years or so that we apply towards this template when we, you know, have to dispute a chargeback.
Okay. I guess I'll talk about a horror story. Well, a bad story, because I think we need to talk about it. So I've been buying the same brand of makeup longer than I care to admit. Let's just say decades. I mean, I'm probably OG because I used to buy it from their original store in San Francisco 127 years ago. Now they have stores all over the country, probably globally. They're featured in fact, you can get it in HEB. The brand is Bare Minerals. I don't have a problem with embarrassing them. You know, I wondered where my order was. It was just like super, super late. And just to get through to talk to somebody about your order, whether it was on phone or the live chat, they put me through more questions than the bank does, or the cable company, and everybody knows how bad the cable companies are to deal with. So, you know, if you want to talk horror stories, talk about your cable TV, because they're all bad. But, you know, it was like I needed my full name, I needed my email, I had to give them my phone number, they wanted an order number, they wanted, I forgot, it was just like my street address to verify they were talking to the right person, all for me to be able to say, where is order XYZ? And I'm like going, dude, this is just insane. Yeah, no, they didn't ask for my social security number, but I did get asked that yesterday by somebody else for something that shouldn't have needed it. So you know, it was like, okay, this is just nuts. And they're like going, I've given you 3 pieces of info. If that's not enough, we have a problem because I'm not giving you the rest of this. You're asking me to give you too much stuff. And then I have an argument because I'm now a Karen, and you know, I'm just getting really grumpy and cross. And I do generally eventually get the response, but it was so bad that that I'm just not going to buy the brand anymore. And you know, I've probably spent, wild haired guess, easily $10,000 with them over the years. At the time, they were a unique product in the marketplace. They were the first to have mineral makeup. If I want that kind of makeup, I can now get that from a lot of other brands. As it turns out, I'm now too old to use that type of foundation anyway, so I've switched to MAC. You know, there's just, you know, there's too much competition for me to put up with a stressful circumstance. And you know, and I think AJ could certainly vouch for this. You know, don't make it hard for your customers to communicate with you. You should be able to, I mean, an order number in something that indicates you're talking to the right person on a product. I mean, this was like a $30 purchase. This was not something that needed Fort Knox. I wasn't kidding when I said you asked for more than the bank does. You know, so I mean, are any of you guys asking an insane amount of information just before a customer can even get to a rep? Are you taking phone calls or running a live chat, or are you making it hard for people to reach out to you?
Well, I can talk a little, like on Etsy, I don't know on Amazon as well, but Etsy's great in a sense that you see their order history. So if someone messages you, and so like if I notice that this person has been consistently buying, like I'm gonna do everything I can. And in fact, like when I order something, I notice they ordered a few times before, I would throw something in there. So it might just be like their CR or the way that they're handling or the information. But it sounds dumb because like, how long did it take for like that person to be on phone with you? And imagine paying that person as a manager. So you're gonna spend like what, $10 for 30 minutes of phone call? You could just resolve it really quickly. It's not worth your time. I think.
Yeah, no, trust me, that particular situation didn't end favorably for anybody, to be quite honest with you. I think I actually did get the product for free, but that wasn't what I was gaming for. I just wanted to be treated respectfully. I don't try to cheat merchants. It's not going to let me sleep at night. So yeah, you know, by contrast, when all this stuff went down in Minneapolis, I had just ordered a custom made t-shirt. And when the post office there went haywire, I got this great email from the owner. And this is a tiny little business. I mean, I bet she isn't doing 15 grand a month. And everything is made to order, just really kind of a sweet little venture, the kind of stuff I love to support. And she sends me an email saying, hey, I mailed off your package 2 days ago and you should have tracking by now, but that was my post office involved in all this. So if I don't see, I'm watching your tracking number. If I don't see movement over the next 3 days, I'm going to send you a replacement. And I actually ended up with 2 t-shirts, and I offered to pay her for the second one and she wouldn't let me, you know, and that memory, I mean, that memory makes her one of those little stores I'll go to for kitschy stuff, you know?
During COVID and like the snowstorm, like we were like a lot of the shipments were delayed, and we made a conscious effort to like go, and even if they didn't mention anything yet, just like, hey, here's the tracking, we're looking at it. And I don't know, it was a lot of work, but you know, to your point, whenever you're at customers like, Oh, wow. Thank you. Appreciate it. Take your time, stay safe. It just makes you feel good.
I'm amazed to hear that from somebody as big as Dell. That's really
Oh,
awesome.
not Dell. This is
Oh.
me. Like, I don't know what Dell does. I don't know how Dell. I think that's a problem that we could work on, but when you're recording. So.
Yeah.
I do a lot of customer interviews with what we do, like to understand experiences. And it's amazing to me how often going out of your way stands out. When you're just like, oh, how did you hear about this company? They end up telling you a story about customer service. And sometimes it's like, I was doing interviews around a magazine brand, and there was somebody who was like, well, when I first signed up, it was just a disaster, but I love the content. And like, that was the first thing they told me, was like the disaster customer experience. And all they wanted was somebody to call and say, hey, there was a problem. So I think that's really like what a great experience, or like a great adjustment, is just saying, I anticipate there could be a problem. And like, it's so memorable when there is a problem, and it's so memorable that you anticipated it. So I think we get it, right? Like we all get that we're in a world where things aren't going to be perfect every time. So customers generally just appreciate the acknowledgement.
And just to jump in what YJ was saying about with shipping and stuff, we use AfterShip. I don't know if any of you guys use AfterShip at all. Really helps. It allows us to be proactive and at least give the customers a heads up about any sort of issues with shipment. If we see tracking sitting for too long, it really just helps being proactive. So we work with distributors across the country. We don't really touch any merchandise. So we're only as good as our distributors are. And there are times that stuff, just accidentally maybe didn't get picked up or whatever it is. But by using AfterShip, we're able to kind of keep an eye on it and engage where shipments are at all times. So it just helps being proactive.
Kirby, you should have some fun stories. You're still muted.
And spacebar wasn't responding. Yeah, well, I do all my own fulfillment. It's an inventive product, so I don't have competition. Oh, like I don't have to worry about someone saying I'm going to buy your product on Amazon, because the only place it's on Amazon is our own. So that's kind of, I don't have to worry about that. It'd be nice to be knocked off, right? That means I'd be big enough for someone to try to steal my idea, but those are good problems to have in the future. Well, fulfillment, I know if there's going to be an issue. I don't do the customer service. That's my partner, Anthony. He responds to the emails, the Facebook messages, the tweets. He does all that crap. I just have to worry about getting stuff to the post office. Which I've actually gotten a really good relationship with my postal carrier now. It's hard to meet up with them, and God knows it's hard to talk to people. So I've put a clipboard out there and asked him questions. It's like, what days of the week are best for you? And so he knows I'm trying to work with him, and what makes it easiest for him to stop by my house and pick up the shipments. So that's kind of nice to have someone on my side there. But like during the ice storm, the post office wasn't moving. Post office was closed. So, I emailed Anthony and said, hey, tell everybody we're still getting in our orders. I'm still fulfilling them. They're just not leaving my house. In fact, one day I drove to the post office and was like, I'm going to drop these off myself. I was like, nope, it's closed. Doors are locked. So I have a Subaru, so I can get there, right? So, but he sends out proactive emails saying, hey, it's delayed. And that's what's nice. He's real responsive too. When I mess up something, or just a shipment just gets lost, which has occasionally happened, it just disappears off the face of the planet sometimes. Usually we don't use like an AfterShip to monitor things yet. Maybe we should. But he'll get a call from a customer saying, hey, where's my package? And so then we immediately will, usually do a priority ship the same day as a replacement, with some extra bully sticks thrown in as a sorry that it got messed up. It's easier for us, you know, and our time, because we both have day jobs, and then we do this, you know, nights and weekends. And God, it takes a lot of time to run a small business like this. It's crazy. But it's easier for us to just send them more, make the customer happy, knock it out through the existing processes, than try to argue with anybody and do anything special. It's like, just make them happy, get it out the door, so you can worry about the next customer. So that's how we kind of operate.
Sorry about that. I got too many things beeping at me. That's pretty cool that you're proactive about it. You know, because again, I mean, I think one of the things AJ said is that it's really clear when people have an outstanding customer experience that sticks in their head at least as well as the bad ones. And YJ, I'm the one who sat my ass down in the middle of Dell 1 a few years back, threatening to set fire to an 8-month-old laptop. So
Man,
I got lucky.
There.
They didn't call my bluff. I was really worried about what my lawyer's like going, what's going to happen if they call your bluff? And they didn't. And I didn't get arrested because I didn't actually do anything. But they thought I was crazy, which worked in my favor. Maybe I am crazy. But
it's like, how much, like, as a company, it's like how much, like, that cost of dissatisfaction. That's a lot. Like $30 for someone not writing a negative review and then telling all their friends that you hate that person or that company. It's like, that's worth it.
That's why I'm on an Asus. I'm not on a Dell anymore.
And it's a lifetime value too,
Yeah.
right? Like if there's returning purchases and, you know, your network of the feedback. Another area I was thinking about was like return policies and like return windows in particular. In my experience, that's been like a real differentiator as myself as a consumer, because I tend to be someone who's like, oops, it's 30 days. Like, I hope they're feeling generous. And I've only once really come up against, and it was recently, a purchase where I had just missed the return window and I was told no. And I was like so stunned by it, because so typically that's a place where there's some leverage given. Particularly with Amazon setting expectations. So I'm curious how you guys think about that, like return window, and how you message when somebody's past it, or what your experiences have been.
Well, we've got a policy. I'm not even sure I know what it is, but it's on the site. It's Anthony's problem, right? But we treat, because he'll always, whenever someone pings him, the first thing he does is go on Shopify and look up their order history. Right, and if they're a subscriber, and so they're getting bully sticks shipped to them every month, then they get whatever they want, pretty much. I'm shipping them free. I even had a batch of bully sticks that had some odor in it, and most people don't mind, but we had a couple of customers complain, and it's $100 a month is her subscription. And she complained, and he talked to her and said, hey, don't cancel. It was just a bad batch. From our supplier. And so when I sent her March order, I sent her twice as many. So she got $200 worth of bully sticks for $100. It's just whatever it takes to keep, especially the subscribers, happy, because they're precious to us. That's what's going to fund the company long term.
Mark, you've been around for a while in e-commerce. Have you had anybody try to abuse your policies or your generosity?
All the time. We have people that want to try stuff and then return it, and again, it's just Amazon's kind of created this. So generally, if an item's been used at all, we can't accept it back, because it's no good to us. We don't sell used stuff, and our distributors don't take stuff back. So generally, if an item has to be returned, it has to be in new condition, original packaging, and everything like that. We try to hold to like a 30-day window. Obviously, there's different scenarios, different things come up, and there is some leniency. But I mean, for instance, people reach out. I bought this 9 months ago, and I used these, and now there's an issue, and they want to return it. And sometimes, they'll get the manufacturer involved, and they'll determine, okay, maybe it was a warranty issue, and we're kind of at the hands of sometimes some of these manufacturers that it's, they'll tell them, sure, you can return to where you bought it from. And then now it's for us to figure out. So again, we're only as good as our distributors, and the distributors are only as good as the manufacturers. And if they stand behind warranty stuff, yeah, we have no problem, kind of looking past the 30-day window. It really depends. Yeah, I think you have to still kind of keep some sort of structure. But yeah, there are different times that, yeah, you could definitely, there are some exceptions,
Anybody else have a good story?
Yes, I have one. So I was reading one of the Facebook group, Voice of a Customer or something. One of the retailer, he was telling that he sent a product to the customer and he got the package returned. And the original item he sent was not there in the package. And instead of that leather jacket, it was something else, some filthy jeans jacket. And that's how he returned. And later on, he tried to catch up with the customer and tried to see his, tried to contact him from WhatsApp. And on his WhatsApp profile, the product he sent was there. Whereas the marketplace was saying that the order was returned. And he was like looking for the help around, hey, how can we just avoid such scammer customers who basically misuse the advantage of returning the items. So that is one of the things which just came to my mind with respect to customer service. There are other stories too. When I was running e-commerce store, people would say the item is not there. And since I was trying to build the system on top of all the problems, and I figured that, let me dig more deeper into that story. So we were getting complaints, hey, the item is missing from the box. And we were wondering, I mean, what's happening? Is it the courier service? Is it our packaging team or what? And then finally, once we built our system for inventory and seeing the original counts and the sales, so we figured that we have more stock than it should be, because we have like 10 items sold. So remaining items should be 0. Whereas we have 2 items in the stock already. And we related those 2 missing items to the same complaints where the items were missing in the box. So we went to the packaging team and figured out what's going on. And it was a scenario where the packaging manager or operations manager, he was working from home to pack and ship the things from his home. And he was at the same time doing the tuition to the students. So it seems like, so that's how we reached out to the problem, that he was trying to outsource his work to another level without letting us know. And those students were just without care. They were just packaging and sending the things. So that's how we caught these problems. So yeah, it was one of an interesting problem. Though this is not for the US market, this second problem. It is based out of Pakistan, where I was running that e-commerce store. So yeah.
That stuff happens here too. And Mark may have a way he deals with it. When I worked for the first company that was big enough to put in the systems, the first thing we did was install a camera at the weighing station. So we knew what was in the box. We also had weights on everything. So the box, if packed correctly, the software would literally say, this matches what it should weigh and this doesn't. And, you know, eBay, a lot of times there are people who've gotten back a box of rocks so that the return shipping showed the right weight. So that was one way of doing it, was that we had the camera, we had the weights, and then eventually we also added barcodes. So in order, as you pick and pack, you would scan into the box. And
So
and that's one
yeah,
more flag.
learning from all those experience, we developed the same kind of process where you have bulk orders. You just put them into a batch, and based on batch weight, items, and all that, you process that. It gives you the accuracy and check and balance. So, so I was just wondering. I mean, how many times you have seen what is, or in other words, what is the percentage of orders that are not delivered by uh, these courier or logistic companies like UPS? Have you ever faced it, identified it, or it has never happened? What's the assumption?
You have some numbers, Mark?
Oh, I can't give you exact numbers. I mean, overall they're good, but I mean, it's been absolutely crazy. It's hard to say. We've been doing on average, I don't know, let's say 400 to 600 orders a month.
Okay.
And it's kind of fluctuated. Yesterday we had 80 orders, like completely not normal. But we will see, and that's why we use a program like AfterShip to kind of keep our eyes on stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I would say most of the orders do get delivered. But with that said, especially around the holidays, we see constant people reaching out saying, UPS marked, it shows it was delivered, it wasn't delivered. So something like that, right off the bat, we just say, please check with your neighbors. It could have been, delivered to the wrong address.
Yeah.
We have people that we have, and so that you can't necessarily think this is fraud, someone's trying to scam you. But we have plenty of that as well. We always then try to, if they do continue to say that the item hasn't been delivered, we'll open an investigation, UPS case, a FedEx case, to look into it. The problem with those are that those take time. They can take up to 30 days to resolve. The average orders that we sell, average cost of an order, maybe $600-700 that we do, and it's a lot of money. These people are livid, so we're getting hammered, for 2 weeks. Where's my order? Give me a refund. All of this type of stuff. Fortunately, overall, I think these couriers do a good job. There have been times like you were, mentioning in terms of, fraud, whatever. At sometimes we feel like we're private investigators. There's been numerous times people have claimed they haven't received something, and they're not smart enough to make their social media accounts private. And then we see our merchandise, and these are all parts of things that when they open a chargeback, we've screenshotted pictures of our items on their vehicle and all of this stuff. And this all helps build a case to win a charge.
Okay.
We've seen it all.
All right. Okay. So I was just looking at the after ship. So it seems like it gives you the tracking of all your orders. So is it kind of a plugin that you put it on your website and gives you the live information about the packages, or?
Yeah, so it integrates with a bunch of different platforms, whether it's marketplaces or e-commerce store. So it integrates with our store. Early on, when this was kind of a hobby and I had a full-time job and I was, doing this at night and on the weekends, I literally was emailing I kind of had a template, and I was emailing, every customer, their tracking information. Then it just became too much. So as soon as you add the tracking number into BigCommerce, it automatically pulls it into AfterShip. Within AfterShip, you're able to set and create different emails that the customers get. So if a package is being prepared to ship, you could send them that in the email. So they'll let them know that it's being prepared to ship. Then you could send them an email for in transit. You could send them an email for delivered if there was a failed delivery attempt. And not only can they get the email, you could then set it up to send yourself an email. So we'll get notified if there's like any sort of exception or failed delivery attempt. So this way we can kind of stay proactive.
Okay. So does the aftership mark the orders in your BigCommerce store as if not delivered or something? Like it highlights those orders?
It doesn't. So I log into, part of my daily routine. I log into AfterShip and just keep my eye on it. Also, not only the benefit of using AfterShip to track emails, you could also use it to market to, we had a coupon code in our AfterShip emails to kind of help follow up and get business that way.
This is cool. This is cool. I will probably want to have a chat with you after this meeting, Mark,
Sure.
just to show something which I'm working on. Yeah.
How fast are you guys responding? And this applies to everybody who wants to answer. How fast are you getting back to your customers when they make an inquiry? And does your contact form reflect your typical response time?
Hey, Lori, before we go there, Sierra, do you have a question? I see your hands raised.
Yes, not a question, but more, I have 3 quick stories. I'm on Etsy a lot.
Please. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that, Lori?
I said, please. Sorry.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm on Etsy a lot because I like specialized orders and supporting small businesses. And there were 3 stories that really stood out to me, 2 in the negative sense and 1 in the positive sense. So I ordered jewelry because my hands are smaller, so I have to buy from Etsy stores. And there was this one business owner who got back with me at 2 a.m. And that was like, because you can see like the time zone of where this the business owner is at. So that really like, made me want to buy from her. So I have like 3 of her items saved in my to buy next list, just because I want to support her. Her products are great. Got back with me on such like a next level time. And then the 2 negative stories were, I wanted to buy a ring that had like text engraved on the inside, and she had different text styles on the product listing that you could choose from. And like some of the fonts weren't available on Word. You had to like purchase the font, or it's like very specialized. So I couldn't find it online to like test it out. So I messaged the supplier and I was like, hey, can you like send me like a quick screenshot of all the fonts with this message for me to just see what it looked like? And she was like, oh, I'm like super busy. Can you send me like 3 or 4 fonts and I'll like type it out? And I was like, that's like 2 seconds of your time to like type it out and copy paste. And like, it's like 8 fonts. Like, why do I have to choose like 3 to choose from? So that kind of like ticked me off, and I like went somewhere else, because it's not like I'm asking for anything too much. So that was like an instance where there are like other ring stores. So I like decided not to go with that supplier. And then the 3rd story, also negative, is I asked for pictures of an earring on the model because they didn't have any pictures of the earring being on someone. So I was like, I'm not sure like how the earring will be placed against a person's ear. And she was just like, oh, like, sorry, like I don't have any pictures like that. And she was just kind of like rude and didn't seem to really care about my like experience as a customer. And yeah, so I was like, okay, if I can't even see it on someone and you're not even being apologetic about it, I understand if you're like not handling the product yourself, but she just was like super rude. So I ended up not going with her and I bought from somewhere else. So it's just like an instance of people being really, really generous with their time. Obviously, 2 a.m. is an expectation I don't expect from anyone, but it really stood out to me as someone who cared about her business. And then the other 2 people who couldn't do like bare minimum for like showing me something about the product or even being like, nice about it. So yeah, horror and also positive stories.
And that makes me think of just like having canned responses to customer insight, like customer responses that are just friendlier, like vetting them or writing them ahead of time, so that it's more thoughtful. You can acknowledge the problem. Rather than I can imagine if you're getting a lot of questions, you're just kind of like quickly answering them and not being really intentional with it. But having those like canned responses or like a template would give you that structure to remind you to say, hey, like this is a person I'm messaging with, and this high touch or personal touch can be helpful.
Yeah, that's something that I thought of after going through that experience. If in the future I want to expand to hiring someone else to handle customer service, creating like an FAQ for this person to refer to and having like copy paste answers, so that as the business grows, you encounter more problems and each person can add to that, handbook of answers. So
there's actually software that will manage that. And one of them I actually, they've given some kind of a discount to members of this group. So I posted Gorgia in, that's one of several platforms like it that run, they have like chat bots and FAQ centers that you can set up, and then you can contact with a human being, and it imports the order information. But what it does let you do is create some of those canned pitches so that if you get repetitive questions, you can answer them quicker. But you know, it's interesting what I ran into this week on Shopify. And it was interesting because it was the store owner and the angry customer both happened to be in the group. So it spurred quite an interesting discussion. And basically the guy had a problem with his order, and he used the email form to reach out, and it had been almost, I think it had been more than one full business day, and he still hadn't heard. And so he was just spitting venom, and the store owner goes, well, it turns, I looked at your case and it needed extra handling, so we were going to give you a call, but they hadn't done it. And you know, and so you get the people going, you get two camps, the people saying, well, this is the 20% of your customers that are jerks, just who needs you, go away, your request is unreasonable. And then you have other people going, well, wait a minute here, why didn't you respond quicker? And my comment was, seems to me that all you had to do was burn out a quick email that says, your issue requires further investigation. One of our people will call you within the next 24 hours so we can get this clarified and cleared up for you. And that simple email would have completely changed the way this guy felt. And to your, you know, your comment was the fact somebody took the time out to let you know that they were at least interested in your issues and getting an answer to you would have been all the difference in the world. You know,
we use Pure Chat to have live chats on our websites, email, obviously phone calls and social media. But you know, there are definitely times that you know, first off, we have hours set for you know, the phones. I mean, early on, we didn't have hours set for our phones, and we literally have people every hour of the day, 2 o'clock in the morning, calling us, and just no consideration about anything. So you kind of do have to have some hours set in place. But yeah, there's, you know, when you're running a business, whether if you have hours that you're not open on the weekend or whatever it is, to respond to an email to diffuse an issue is definitely super important. I mean, don't wait till Monday to get back to somebody if there's an issue. Because again, I sent a email out to one of the developers at Pure Chat yesterday. We have people that, I mean, within a 5-minute span, we have people keep reopening the Pure Chat and sending us, you know, the same message over and over again. Like, hey, did you see it? Like, and just constant. We'll respond to it, and they start a new Pure Chat, the same guy. Then you get an email, then we get a phone call, and it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with at times. But if you try to diffuse it right away, it's, you know, it's best than letting it linger.
So you're not using an all-in-one like Reamaze or Gorgia, where all those messages flow into a single dashboard?
No, that would be easy. I mean, we use Pure Chat. Again, then we have emails as well. Another thing that's been really beneficial for us, we utilize our phone. We use phone.com. They also offer live receptionists. So that kind of helps with overflow. So if it's something we can't get to, live receptionists will, you know, take a message. And a lot of these customers don't understand that. They're trying to like hammer them for like technical information or customer service, and live chat is not, you know, for that. But at least it gives us a good idea of what the person's calling about, what we're going to face when we call this person back, what it is. And it's been great for us.
Well, looks like we're just at time. So thanks everyone so much for joining today. We look forward to having you guys on next month, and we'll be posting the recording from today's meetup on YouTube. So
I need to nail this down. I was on vacation, so I didn't, but tentatively, we actually have at least one person from SEMrush coming to answer your questions on how to use their tool for better SEO, so you can understand that. I may also bring in a couple of other SEO experts to come in and join the panel and kind of, you know, like an Ask Me Anything about e-commerce SEO. So that's the goal. Not finalized yet, but hopefully I'll have that squared away here shortly for you. And thank you everybody for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Everyone.
Take care.